Okay, so the goal of bringing you consumer stories is to, in part, provide some insight. That's why all this week, Allison Gormly is bringing us advice from community members.
Yeah, she'll tell you about a little bit about the person, and then she's asking them all the same three questions, okay? She's asking, what's the best way to win somebody over? What do you do to motivate yourself when things get tough? And what's the best advice you've ever been given? And tonight, a family court judge tells us what's the deal.
Ryan Gardner's career as a judge could be considered a calling.
Knew I wanted to be a judge around 12. Set for hearing today, counsel.
And that's largely because of one person.
And that's when I learned about Thurgood Marshall, and I just sort of looked at him like he was a superhero.
Thurgood Marshall is the nation's first African-American U.S. Supreme Court justice and the first black attorney Gardner said that he learned about.
My mother would always tell me, you can do anything you put your mind to, but when I saw his story, it was real for me.
Now the Marion Superior Court judge is doing the same thing for some of the people he sees in court.
Many times they get to see someone who looks like them. They feel more comfortable speaking their language because I can speak it with them and get my point across to them in a way that they understand.
And because family court can be tense, we thought Gardner would be a good person to answer our 3 advice questions.
What's the best way to win someone over?
A lot of times what we've heard from youth is they oftentimes feel like spectators in their own cases. And so they don't feel comfortable speaking at all. They feel like they're just supposed to sit there like a statue. But so I try to combat that by getting them involved. And then I think building that rapport with them over time, certainly it does help because they feel like they're valued.
What do you do to motivate yourself when things get tough?
When things get tough for me, well, the first rule for me is that I leave work at work. I am married to my best friend. We have 3 boys. So when I leave here and I go home, I'm daddy and husband 100%.
What's advice that you've gotten and still live by?
The best advice as an attorney and a judge that I think that I got was that litigation by its very nature is adversarial. That doesn't mean we have to treat one another like enemies. And that civility is key. If I have to be direct with somebody, I'm direct, but I do it in a way that it doesn't belittle them. I try to explain everything that I'm doing or reasons for my decisions, even if people don't agree with it, but I think ultimately they agree with the fact that I took the time to be civil with them and treat them with dignity.
Encouraging those in the next year to build relationships with others while still setting boundaries, but always being civil.
Man, isn't that a lesson for all of us right now?
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems like such a nice guy, but being able to give his perspective from the other side based off of what he sees in his courtroom.
Well, and it's so interesting to hear how people go about their business because we see certain community members portrayed in TV and movies as tough, and you have to be hard and you have to be mean, and then it's like, well, no, that's not how you actually achieve winning over people or achieving real goals and sustainable change.
Yeah. And makes the court process look a little less scary too, to kind of know a judge outside, off the bench.
Well, exactly. And he doesn't want any of his people coming back to see him in court at the end of the day. So the better he can communicate with them and his message, the less he'll hopefully have to see them in the future.
Great to learn about him.
Yeah, so later this week we'll be chatting with an IMS employee who does community outreach, and she'll be giving us similar advice and answering our questions.
All right. Life in the fast lane. Love it.
Thanks, Alice.